I just took a nap myself, and right now we're going to talk about the topic of how long should you optimally sleep as a human being, when and how often during the day. And I really drop here information based on research. Some will be more specific, some more broad. I can't just shoot a video for the world and say, hey, you gotta sleep 7 hours and 10 minutes, that's perfect for you. Depends, but you will really get some information here that you can practically use, right? If you struggle with building any habit, getting motivated, or maybe even building a sleep habit, I'm a habit coach. You can reach out to me, we can have a free call. But now let's get started. And first of all, I would like to appreciate you watching this video, because about 1/3 of our life we're sleeping. So it's great that you actually take information in here and really meet the foundation. How long? Well, let's get the big picture first, right? Let's look how other species are doing this, and also we as human beings. Now, if you compare all the species, there's a high variability from 2 hours to 20 hours. I think the koala bears, they sleep about 20 hours, or they sleep 16 hours and then they kind of like nap, kind of, for 4 hours. But that's a long time. And also within the human being, within the species, there's also a variability. And we sleep around 6 to 8 hours optimally. Not everybody, some need more, some need less, but as a guideline. They actually did a correlational study, and they checked how long do people sleep and how old do they get. And they realized people who sleep 7 hours, they get on average the oldest. Just correlation, be careful here, of course. People who sleep longer, they are maybe more sick. That's why they die earlier, whatever. But I think it gives us a great idea that it might be between 6 and 8 hours. I sleep like 8, 8.5 even, and it feels good. And this is the right thing for me to do, right? So before you're trying to cut some sleep to have a better day, be more productive, then really get your habits straight first. And the very last thing would be to reduce sleep. And this is actually a nice question here. Can we reduce our sleep at least a little bit? You know, maybe you sleep 8 hours and you're like, hey, I want to go down to 7.5. Is it possible? Is it healthy? Well, they did one study. It's just one study, doesn't need to be reality necessarily, by Friedman. And then they took people and then they gradually decreased their sleep, like every 2 weeks, half an hour. And they decreased it for like half an hour, 1 hour. And they did this for like 2 months or so, I think. And then they said, okay, the study's over now. You can sleep now again as you want to. And 1 year later, they came back and they checked how they slept again. And they realized, wait, those people are still sleeping less. They're falling asleep quicker. Their sleep cycle during the night is also faster. So it seems like, I'm not sure whether this is reality, but it seems like they sleep more effectively and they somehow compensate this half an hour that they slept less, and they actually trained themselves to be more productive while sleeping. So this might be an opportunity. Just take it with caution. Just citing here one study. Now, short-term sleep deprivation, so you're not sleeping for a couple of days, is okay if it's like 1, 2, 3 days, right? You're partying during the weekend or so, and then recovering though, so get sleep in again, then it's nice. Though if you do this on the long run, like constantly getting 5 hours of sleep, is probably very, very likely not healthy for you. It's more likely to get diabetes too. You're more overweight on average. Your immune system is not working good. Also shift work, try to avoid that. It's very unhealthy, especially if it adds up over the years. You don't really want to do this. Yeah, hope this gave you a broad idea. The next one will be a little bit more specific. Just listen to what you actually need. How long shall you sleep optimally? When do you sleep optimally? There's a certain answer to that. You release the sleeping hormone of melatonin best when it's dark. So also sleep when it's night. We also have this circadian sleep cycle when your body gets when it's night. So the most effective sleep is also actually to say this before midnight, starting at around 10 o'clock. So also go then to bed 10, 11 when it's dark. Not go to bed at 2 a.m. This is just the optimal way how it is. And again, here shift work is obviously not healthy. But reality kicks in. We all know this. Your friend calls, you go out with friends. Sometimes you're partying and go home at 2 a.m. That's okay. It's life. I'm just trying to give you here the rough balance. What is the nice thing to do? But if it's like 10 o'clock and you say, oh, I want to go out with my friends now for 2 more hours, that's okay. And maybe that's even more healthy because you socialize, and this has also healthy aspects, of course. So yeah, just keep the rough balance. And if you build this habit habitually, just means that you do this every single day, but habitually trying to be roughly in this framework, then you're perfectly fine, right? So when it's dark, this is the best time. By the way, if you're like below 20 or in the beginning of your 20s, don't worry so much about this because your sleep cycle's anyway screwed and it stabilizes the older you get, right? So don't try to push yourself in there necessarily. Now the last question, how often should you sleep? I think Leonardo da Vinci, he actually did the Uberman, which means sleeping 6 times within 24 hours, but just for 20 minutes. So in total, you sleep 2 hours. And research has shown, and I talked with a sleep professor, that this is definitely a bad idea. Especially, for example, let's say you sleep 8 hours, especially the last part, like the last 4 hours of your sleep is very important for your psychological recovery, right? So by just sleeping 20 minutes 6 times, you don't even get into this and you're really missing out on things. Also just not mentioning that you're just sleeping 2 hours. That's not productive. Of course, you sleep more effectively, what we also saw in the study previously before when you reduce your sleep, but in this amount is definitely not healthy at all. Now, what I advise is to have a biphasic sleep, which just means that you sleep twice. Not working all the time, but generally it just means that during the night you have your major sleep. I often sleep like 7.5 hours, and then I have a nap, sometimes just a quick nap for like 12 minutes. It's perfect because you then wake up and you're still alert because you didn't fall into this deep sleep. If you nap for like half an hour, sometimes even 20 minutes, you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm even more tired now. So a quick nap for 12 minutes might work, depending on your day, you know. I'm not always doing this because there's some days you just can't nap. There's too much stuff to do. You're out somewhere else. I'm giving a training, a workshop. You can't do a nap. But generally you could do this because throughout the day you can see that in the morning you need a little bit of time, of course, to get awake, and then here's a peak of performance at 11 o'clock, and at around 3 p.m. there's this low, and though then at 6 o'clock there's again this high. And if you're here unproductive anyway, just have a nap or socialize or relax. Don't try to push yourself here and recover optimally. So this might be really an idea. Biphasic or one uniphasic, or how's it called? Also just sleep just during the night and have no nap. That's also fine. But especially, for example, when I did my examinations at the university, when I studied psychology, the week before the exam, I really made sure that I have a nap. I even took 2 naps or so because it really helped me to store the information. If you learn something during the sleep, this is the perfect time to actually store the information into your long-term memory, and that you can recover it and retrieve it also then during the examination. That's why sleep is very productive in so many ways, also regarding your memory. Yeah, I think that's actually it for this video. How long? 6 to 8 hours roughly. Of course, there are people also outside of that range. When it's dark, how often? Once, twice, roughly. Just an idea. We also shot some other 2 videos about sleep from a different angle. There are different tools you can use to improve your sleep. Check that out, link in the description below. Also, again, if you want to really try to build a healthy sleep habit or any habit in life and do the things that you're supposed to do and you want to do, but you're not doing them so far, you can also get a free coaching call with me. And then we can just really set up a plan, what's the strategy, and then decide whether we would like to work together or not. Maybe this video already helped you. This is great. I'm really just here to giving you input. This is really what I really enjoy. And yeah, I wish you a good night now. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.